everyone. Welcome to the second episode of Bank of Creativity. I'm so thankful that you guys loved the first episode, but for today's episode, it's going to be special because I'm with a guest and I'm not alone this time. So please introduce yourself.
So, hi everyone, I'm Reese Chang. I'm 16 years old and I am the founder of Atom.
Okay, so thank you so much, Reese, for joining me today. But before we start with the questions, can you tell us more about Atom and what is the organization about?
So, Atom is a nonprofit organization that aims to reduce the stigma of the pursuit of the arts as a profession, to inspire children, especially the underprivileged, to express themselves through art, and to empower these budding artists to recognize their value in society. So, essentially, more or less, our novel approach is to utilize art to entice and to nurture the underprivileged young people by bringing mobile art studios to the streets of poor neighborhoods.
I was inspired by your advocacy, but what was the story behind your organization? Why did you make Atom?
So in the Philippines, I feel like there's always been this stigma of starving artists for as long as I can recall. And, for the kids who wanted to pursue arts, parents would tell them, oh, I think that we think that, you should become a nurse instead, or you should, do something related to the field of medicine. So I saw the gap, but then I questioned myself. I was like, how can we create radical change? What can I do as a 16-year-old to create and contribute to that change? So I was looking for other, art organizations, I guess, and I couldn't find like one in specific. So I do know that we do have artists, photographers, even dating back to like the couple years ago, for example, like Juan Luna and stuff like that. But then, there were no organizations, there were no communities, I guess, for young people like me. So that's why since I'm very passionate about art and I saw the lack of access to art education, I decided to start up an org with a mission to do so. And that's when I was able to accomplish that with like-minded people. And so aside from that, I think if you read our story or like the story of how Atom came about on our website, so that's atomorg.com, the idea is that, children should have a right to a childhood, even by means of expression. And so what's difficult about that is that for those who live, I guess, the Philippines has no economic safety net. And so the Philippines is unable to offer much assistance in terms of the increasing population of many who live like even at or below that poverty line. And so it's a never ending cycle and it's so difficult to eradicate poverty. So some kids do have that passion for art. But then the question is, like, is it being nurtured? How do we contribute to that? And above all, it gives them an option to self-actualize and benefit. And it would be really beneficial for the growth of our economy and the art space here in the Philippines. And when people join Atom, I think that they always have this, I guess, notion in a sense that like STEM and art are polar opposites. But you don't need to be a professional to volunteer for Atom. We're an open community, so as long as you have that passion to create the change, then you're more than willing and to join, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you with the part that the people here in the Philippines have been looking down on the arts. I've known people who have their parents or their grandparents. They prevent them from enrolling to these art courses or for nurturing their talent. And what is your opinion on arts being neglected as a profession here in the Philippines?
Well, it's a disheartening truth, but it's a reality. So that's why Atom is here. So from here, hopefully we can only progress.
I'm pretty sure that you have a lot of plans. So how are you coping as an organization right now during the pandemic, and what are the projects that you're most proud of?
Okay, so before school even started, actually we've been doing a lot in terms of planning for 2021. So hopefully, fingers crossed, 2021 will be a very exciting year. We have a lot of marketing projects lined up, other events that we're going to be opening to the public. So we've been doing our best to be productive, hosting meetings on Zoom, checking in with the different departments, and also in terms of projects. So I think our most promising one would have to well, I can't really, I guess, choose just one because they're, I'm equally devoted to all of them. We did have a project prior to the pandemic, which is Gaud Kalinga, but that was just like in its initial stages. And then our most recent one was the Jar of School Fund, where, we did receive an overwhelming amount of support.
So I also noticed that, a lot of people have been using art to keep us sane, especially during the quarantine, because, when you're at home and you're bored, sometimes you could just do a lot of creative things. So how can you inspire people to appreciate art at times like this?
Um, well, I guess that's what Atom's already doing. We're educating people through our platform. We have an art history highlight. We give you different prompts. So we have this thing called prompt projects, and then we just put out prompts out there so that, if ever you want to create art or just want to write something, they're there for a reason and you can utilize that to your advantage.
And I honestly think that, the arts, yeah, has been neglected. And now that people have the luxury of time, they've been doing a lot of creative activities, they've been researching, they've been, finding your true passion. So I feel like this is the best time to really immerse yourself in creativity. So how do you think art stays relevant during and after the pandemic?
Well, I feel like, art has always been relevant. It's a way for us to, I guess, look back at history and the historical account of events. There is a lot of cultural significance in terms of a piece of art. So I feel like, art is always relevant, not just limited to, you know, during or after the pandemic.
I'm pretty sure that you with your team are also slowly transitioning to become more digital, because that's the only thing that we can do right now. And as you've said that you have a lot of plans for 2021, what do you think is the future of art here in the Philippines and around the world?
I mean, in terms of the Philippines and around the world, I feel like we can always progress. Again, as I mentioned before, I think that in terms of the world shifting and becoming more digital, I mean, with the growth of technology, we have a variety of paints now and better quality as well. So basically, technology helps us broaden the horizons, I guess, of an artist's creativity, really. But at the same time, I think that innovation in art has, even though I think that innovation in art has opened a lot of opportunities for our modernizing world, I don't think that how progressive an artwork is should qualify its worth. So, a century ago, to create masterpieces, one would have to keep, adapting, innovating essentially. But I feel like, this pursuit to achieve artistic greatness in a sense, betrays their superficiality also. So sometimes contemporary art can be good too. I think that there needs to be, a balance.
Yeah. What kind of impact do you think your work has to society and to people?
Sorry, just to clarify, my work meaning my personal pieces or like Atom in general?
It can be both, or atom only. If anything.
Um, the thing with Atom is that it's such a niche category. So, people do tend to overlook it and understand the significance of art. They don't realize, I guess, that, if you imagine a black and white world without art in it, like art brings so much life, in my opinion. And I think that some people tend to think that it's either that you resonate with it, you fit into that niche category, or you don't. But that's something that it's a mindset that they need to change, because I think that art is a powerful tool in terms of you know bringing about social change. Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, also I've been also reflecting on my art as well. There are some people who are focusing on the commercial side of art, commissions and everything. But I think, if we use that art, if we put substance, if we put, content to that, then we can surely spark social change. So For before we end, what advice can you give to young people, or how can you invite people to your organization to join?
I guess just inspire and be inspired. Atom's ABCs, or what we like to call it is first is, awareness. So without the awareness to a problem, there can be no solution. So B is, being brave. Change is hard for everyone. But, being able to speak on important issues. It can be nerve wracking, I won't lie, but having the courage to stand up what for yourself and for what you believe in is, again, it's really vital in creating change. And C is compromise. We live in a very interdependent world. And so, without altering your lifestyle, the status quo more or less stays the same. And change can't happen without the willingness to compromise. So stay authentic, stay, stay inspired, really. And for those who want to volunteer, feel free to do so. I think that, our Instagram platform and our website, as I mentioned earlier, they have all the details you need to learn more about our organization. If ever that, you're kind of confused which department you'd fit into, send us I guess a message via email, or like on our website, or just DM me on Instagram. Really, it's up to you. Our social media team replies pretty quick, so we'll be able to answer any queries you might have regarding, I guess, your volunteering experience.
Um, one last thing I would really like to point out: how did you have this, passion or this fuel or drive to speak up? Because I think not a lot of young people utilize their voice when it comes to, the things that are important to them. And in this term, it for you, it's art. So how did you have this passion, or how did you fuel this, or what was your drive to raise your voice when it comes to social issues like this?
Well, believe it or not, like when I was really young, I used to dabble in so many things. I tried, different sports, literally anything you could possibly think of. But I always found myself returning to art. And it was only till, I guess, I started Atom that I realized how much, or like the intensity of my love for art. And so, fueled by that burning passion, I felt the need to do something. And, I began researching as well. I was like, how can we change the arts community here in the Philippines? Because there are some communities, or in other countries, their arts communities, I guess, are flourishing more than ours. So I think that we should do something about it, and that's why I decided to start Atom. And I knew that there would be people who thought and felt the same way, and hopefully Atom can be the pioneer in terms of you know changing the arts community here in the Philippines and transforming it, really.
Thank you so much, Reese, for today's podcast episode. I hope that the audiences and our viewers are inspired, and hopefully they look up to your cause and your purpose as a founder of a nonprofit organization specialized in the arts. So thank you so much, and till our next episode.